evening, everybody. Welcome to the SRW live stream for the 360 Sprint Cars Round 2. Coming to you live from Weedsport Motor Park, the DSL Welding Services, with our round sponsor today of Warren and Brown Tools. Joined in commentary today by Toddy, what's going to be no doubt a very exciting second round.
Very cool, isn't it? It's very fun tonight. It's going to get dirty out there once again. Hopefully you don't see quite as much carnage as we saw in round one, but it does look ultra muddy out there tonight, doesn't it?
Yeah, it certainly looks very slippery out there in Weedsports. Certainly one of the tighter tracks on the iRacing platform. Very narrow and gets quite tight with the lines running, especially if we have a few cars out on field in the feature.
Are you picking a high line tonight? Looks like it's getting pretty...
Also, guys, a quick reminder to all drivers out there.
Yeah, certainly the drivers seem to be working the high line out here at the moment in practice, trying to find that groove. This track tends to be sort of starts out in the mid and runs out quite high. We'll no doubt we'll see them up on the fence, particularly out of turn 3 and 4. And just trying to find position, I think, at the moment, trying to get that groove as we see a few cars in practice sort of giving it a bit too much already out on the looser stuff and just sort of trying to find that grip level where they feel comfortable on the track.
Very nice. I've learned lots about dirt. I've heard you're a bit of a dirt expert, just like Mr. Stephen McCartan.
Yeah, so I mean, my preference has sort of always been in dirt. I've sort of grown up going to Speedway locally, and my father was a mechanic, so he worked on a few cars growing up. I sort of spent most of my weekends at the track, so when iRacing sort of come around and they included the sprint cars, we certainly jumped in quite a bit there, and Stefan and I did quite a few laps back in the day. Don't race so much these days with other life commitments getting in the way, but certainly when I can get on and spin a few laps, dirt's probably the first place I always go.
Oh, nice, very nice. Yeah, I've learned a lot about the shyness of the track when the track kind of wears in a bit more, and that's why we kind of want to see the least amount of safety cars as we can tonight, so we can see this track really kind of bed in, and these guys still get to have some really hard battles at the front. You can see these tracks kind of bed in, which is nice.
Yeah, nothing really ruins a good dirt race than the safety car, so it's something you certainly don't want to see. You know, especially in sprint cars, it's a little bit harder in the sprint cars. Obviously, your view is a little bit obstructed off to your right. You know, you're trying to find your space on the track. You want to run tight with the opposition, but you also want to give each other a little bit of room as we see the conditions on the track change from practice to qualifying there. Suddenly got a whole lot brighter. Bit of a time shift.
There we go. Everything's just reset itself. Oh, so as we were just talking about wearing that track in, it seemed to have all over again. You're going to have to start all over again, these guys, trying to wear this track in by the look of this time of day change.
Yeah, certainly a bit of an interesting little thing there.
Maybe it was just our eyes, who knows?
Yeah, so qualifying session starts. Drivers will have 5 minutes or 3 laps to set the best time possible. I wasn't actually watching the lap times in practice, to be honest, so I don't really know what we're looking for. Early laps looking to be the low 13s. I think we might see a 12.9 here, probably be the sort of time that you'd want for pole. I would think from memory, sort of sub 13 on a good track here at Weedsport is a pretty good time. Ash Halliday with his first lap topping the chart so far of those who have qualified with a 13.128. Already beaten there, Ryan Denton 13.112. Sean Stevens coming in hot with his first lap 13.04.
Once his lap times don't seem to be wanting to come up, so just give me 2 seconds.
Gotta love a few technical difficulties there. 13.002. Sean Stevens improves his first lap time. Looking through the field, not too much of a split. All the drivers so far in that 13-second range, from a 13.02 to a 13.65, so certainly a very close field in the qualifying. We have 2 heats, top 7 move on through to the feature. And we'll have a 14-car grid for the final. The Scotty Rankin on track there now, completing his last qualifying lap. Very crazy livery he's got going on there. Certainly plenty of multicolours.
It looks like it's already been through the carnage, I think. It looks like blood or something, doesn't it?
Yeah, certainly an odd looking livery. Looks like a bit of a graffiti art inspired type of thing.
A bit of Halloween style, say.
Yeah. So far, Scotty, his first lap, 13.4, good enough to put him in, where are we?
Sorry.
Showing numbers, not positions. Put him in 13th.
Brent Hobbs one definitely to watch. He's had some pace over the last couple of weeks. And, you know, if he stays out of the trouble, as we know in dirt, if you can stay out of the trouble, you can normally do pretty well. And he's got some pace, so...
Yeah, I quite often think I'm good at dirt and then I end up in a lobby with Brett Hobbs and realise that I'm not that good after all. So certainly one to watch on the track. Ryan Denton's another name that I certainly recognise, as well as Delaney from sort of my time racing in the dirt. Those boys were always sort of pretty stiff competition.
What about Braden Miller? You know much about this guy? This guy's our championship winner from season 1, and we did last season.
No, not a name I've sort of come across yet. You sort of, when you're running online, particularly in the officials, at sort of certain time of the day, you sort of got to know the guys that were on at a sort of time, and you know, especially the Aussies, or the Aussies and Kiwis, you take a bit more notice of, because you know those are the guys you sort of want to try and beat more so than the Americans. As much as it's always fun to give the Americans a hiding on their own game, but you know, it's sort of, I got familiar with a few names, but sort of those three I mentioned before were sort of the ones I found. Brendan Miller I haven't come across yet, so it'll be interesting to see how he goes.
Yeah, he's pretty quick, mate. He's one to watch because he's got lightning restarts, so watch out for that. He'll try and he hasn't qualified all that well tonight, so it might be a bit of a hard one for him coming through the pack. But yeah, if he's out the front on a restart after a safety car, he will get the field pretty quickly. But Sean Stevens is always one that kind of tends to stick with him as well. So
that's something you've probably been learning and having watched these last few weeks as well, as the restart is so critical, even the start of the race as well. I would always try and deliberately qualify third because that was just sort of my preferred spot. I'd get the jump on the leader, get that reaction time down. I never really liked starting on pole. It was sort of a bit nerve-wracking when you've got all that horsepower behind you and everybody's trying to gun for you into turn 1. At least if you can sort of find a good little spot and behind somebody and get through clean, you tend to have a bit more of a chance.
Yeah, most definitely. Just try to stay. Yeah, definitely try to stay out of the trouble. And you know, I suppose that's why I was kind of interested in being involved with hosting and stuff for sprint cars as well, just to learn a bit more about oval racing and dirt racing and things like that. It's a bit more. There's a lot more kind of strategy and things that go into, you know, obviously not as, you know, into dirt ovals, but also just oval racing in general. You know, it's definitely
so many people think it's just a matter of turning left, but there's so much more to it. You know, running your lines, picking your lines, and at the end of the day, it is the consistency. It's no different to running on a road course, but when you're talking about a 13-second lap time, that consistency, you know, you're fighting for every 10th, even 100th of a second in some cases. So it becomes really important to run that consistent line and to find the fastest way around the track.
Yeah, and I've learned a lot about those kind of the lines that people are taking, and I started to find that, you know, there's a few drivers that prefer the inside and there's a few drivers that prefer the outside as well. So, and then there's a bunch of those drivers that kind of, as the track will change, they will change their kind of driving style, even not even their just driving style, but the line that they're taking on track, which I find really, really interesting, you know.
Yeah, definitely. You sort of have to adapt to the track. You know, you talk about having a preference. You really can't. You've got to be able to run all areas as the track evolves and changes throughout the course of the race. And especially when you're dealing with, you know, slick tracks, you've got to be able to run high and low. I tend to find when it gets really slick, I prefer to run the bottom side still and sort of work your way in. But it's so much more than just your line. It's the throttle control, it's your steering inputs, it's sort of everything that goes into it to get you around there as quick as possible.
Yeah, got to have all your ducks in a row and then try and stay out of trouble as well.
Yeah, and it's always disappointing, you know, when you get caught up in somebody else's business and it ruins what was a perfectly good race, you know, so.
It's always a hard one. Just get some the tree up here while these guys start up the race. Here we go, heat 1, guys. It's Barney with the green flag. Go, go, go! Here we go. Sean Stevens with a beautiful start jump on the start there. I was saying Sean Stevens. He looks like he's been practicing his restarts a lot towards the end of last season and the start of this season. So it's great to see him out in front. We will see a lot more of him tonight. Great to see him out in front. We've got Ash Halliday behind him, Braden Miller behind there. So Braden Miller and Sean Stevens always seem to have a bit of a battle. Braden Miller had a bit of bad luck last week, Brandon. So Sean Stevens had a bit of bad luck last week. So Braden Miller got the win again last week. So it was a bit of an upset there.
Yeah, certainly a shame when your night's outdone by some hard luck. Already you see there Braden Miller trying to work that low line, trying to get the inside slide job there over Ash Halliday. And looks like Jason Crawford's kind of running that midline as well. A bit of contact there, the 99 and the 2 car. Braden gives him a little tap and just sends him around his way. He manages to regather it nicely though, keeps running in 3rd position there.
Yes, beautiful job. He's kind of doesn't seem like he's picked up too much damage or anything from that. So.
We might have had some damage there, either that or he's just run wide as we find Jason find himself in the fence. He's certainly dropped a few positions out of that there.
And Scotty Rankin's clipped the inside wall as well. So Scotty's just had a bit of a turnaround there because he's clipped the wall and also just over-rotated through that corner, turn 4 there. So
it's certainly easy to do on this track. As I mentioned at the top of the broadcast, this is one of the tighter tracks on the iRacing platform. It's sort of very easy to throw it into hard and you find yourself rotating around. Especially if you're running the bottom line on 3 and 4, you can get very close to that inside wall, and that's the last thing you want to hit because it's not actually a wall, it's a gate. And you can find yourself getting thrown out into the pit wall as well. We saw a few cars there tap their right rear into the wall. As the heat comes to an end, Sean Stevens takes the win, followed by Jason Crawford, Ash Halliday, Andrew Cowan, Scotty Rankin. Rounds out the field.
Apologies for the technical difficulties. SDK doesn't like the old sprint cars sometimes. There's just a lot of action going on.
Yeah, certainly a very fast-moving lobby in the dirt ovals. Those cars clear off and already Heat 2 underway. So the second group of cars doing their warm-up laps now, following the pace car, proudly sponsored by Promo Department.
Very nice. Big shout out to all our other sponsors as well. Toyo Sim, Pagny Advanced Simulations. We have Melville Equipment Services, and Racecraft also. But you'll see them all just rotating on the bottom of your screen in your beautiful overlay we have for our beautiful streams for SRW. So if you're in the market for any sort of sim gear or that sort of stuff, look up these guys first, and I'm sure they'll more than happily take care of you.
As we come around for the last time, pace car will be in this lap. Ryan Denton on the inside pole line, Brett Hobbs to his outside. Already we see the 98 car there in the background, looking for that high line, trying to get the jump on the start.
Nick Ryan just there in the 98 car. Apologies. I'll leave you with the start of the race while I try and fix our
We've taken it right down to the start line there, holding up the field, and the 21 car of Ryan Denton certainly got the jump on the line after holding up the works a little bit. Great move on the outside there. A little bit of contact around the outside of Brett Hobbs from the 98 car of Nick Ryan. Made that move stick. He's running the wall. He's very high up on the loose dirt there. Ryan Denton certainly running away with the field here, giving himself a nice gap already, pulled out 6/10 on the field, which doesn't sound like a lot, but on a short track like this is huge. 78 car, Justin Wright working the low line, trying to get one done on Brett Hobbs as well. Brett Hobbs moves to the inside there to defend. Justin finds himself tapping the wall there, coming out of turn 2. Certainly trying to make that inside line stick. Running very much inside out here, and most of the drivers trying to find that grip with that very steep entry, sliding out to the exit. And a little bit of contact there on the 78 car. Sees Justin Burke slide back down the pack.
Some pretty. Oh, we got the race. Oh, our current.
And that's what I talked about earlier. That wall at the exit of turn 4 really sucks in the vehicles. Doesn't take much for that right rear to tap the wall, and suddenly you can collect the field on the way through.
Those gone first to 6th. That's the last. One foul swoop there, and they're on their last lap now. So, oh, hard luck for Mr. Denton there. And we see Nick Ryan just smoking it over the finish line.
Yeah, a bit of a fortuitous result there. Never nice to win them that way, but you certainly take them when you can.
Oh, most definitely. You don't want it to happen all the time, but sometimes you like a bit of a Hail Mary, don't you?
Yeah, certainly. You can always, you never complain about someone else's misfortune when it gives yourself the race win.
This is very true, brother. Very, very true. So hopefully for our main event race, our feature is coming up. Hopefully these our overlays quite fixed. But as we wait for that, we might just. Oh no, sorry. My apologies.
Third heat.
It is a third heat. Apologies. So let's see.
So Lachlan Phillips on the pole. Blaine Densley on the outside. Second row, Nathan Allen. Fourth, Tony Walsh. Fifth is Michael Loke. And that rounds out the field there for the third heat.
Yep, old Mickey Locke. He's an old mate of mine, so good to see him up there. He's had some improvements over the last few rounds at the end of the season and start of this season, so good on him. See if he can slot himself through the pack there. Mr. Tony Walsh. We haven't. He seems like we haven't seen much of Tony Walsh out here. It would be great to see him on track. Nathan Allen back in the car, and great to have him back. Blaine Densley's always one to watch, as you were saying, and Lockie Phillips has got some pace behind him as well, man. So it's going to be a pretty. I think all these heats are pretty stacked, actually.
Yeah, that's the good thing about the way the qualifying works out as well. So once you qualify, it takes the top car and puts them into heat 1, then the next car into heat 2, and you sort of rotate through. So you've always got a good mix of top guys and a good mix of sort of that mid pack in your heats, and it gives everybody a good chance to get up into the A main. Certainly doesn't take much if you're got a last minute chance to try and improve some position. If you can do it on track, certainly some drivers prefer the race rather than the qualify.
Here we go.
A lot easier to check the car.
We've got our overlays back, fine sir.
Oh, we're working again. Always good to see when the technology wants to play ball with us. So the lights are out, the pace car will be off, and Blaine Densley on the outside waiting. Lachlan Phillips takes it right to the line yet again, slides up high on the wall with the 17 car. Looks like he tapped the wall a little bit there, certainly unsettled as he comes around. And Blaine Densley certainly got the inside line working for him at the moment, just looking to get the overlay on the leader. Past there, Tony Walsh makes a position up, makes a couple up in fact. Finds himself sitting in third position now. Again, we see the cars slowly moving higher and higher up the track as the heats progress. Certainly the drivers now, front two at least, looking to find their way onto the wall as close as possible. 17 car still sort of persisting with that mid line. That low to mid line sliding very high up into the wall. Certainly unusual, the rest of the field ain't running there.
Yeah,
But it's obviously a groove he's got working for him.
He seems to be getting an alright exit. Not quite as...
Yeah, I think he's scrubbing a little bit of speed on the way into the corner, but he's certainly getting good drive off the exit, and he's finding good speed down the straightaway as well. I think this is the sort of time you just want to commit to throwing one out wide. He's trying to pull that slide job, but he's not quite close enough to really execute it. But a very consistent drive from Lachlan Phillips nonetheless, fighting very hard. He'll find his way into the A main with his current position, but certainly looking to improve that if he can. And a great drive from Tony Walsh as well. You see Nathan Allen on screen there, down in 4th place. White flag out now. Blaine Delaney comes around the final corner now, and it's been a pretty comfortable heat for him really, despite the pressure from Lachlan Phillips on behind. Great drive from both of those guys, but a very technical race. Yeah, certainly an interesting line from Lachlan there. And I think as the feature sort of comes about, we'll see a few different lines form. But I think predominantly we're going to see the high line, the one being used. Yeah, as the race officials skip through some heats there to the warm-up. So 3-minute warm-up on track now for the drivers that choose to use it, and then we'll get straight into our 30-lap feature.
What a night. Okay, we just got Cowie on the chat there as well. We've got Matt Bailey who just said on the chat, "Hey boys, any chance I could jump in on the commentary with you? I'm pretty good with sprint car stuff." One day you'll have to talk to the powers to be, mate. To be honest, Mr. Bailey. But you know, we always love some more co-hosts on the team also. What was it? And Cowie's just said, "Feature will be carnage tonight. This is not an easy racetrack at all, as we've just seen, right?"
Yeah, certainly. We're going to get all those cars out on track. We've already seen the incidents that can happen on the exit of turn 4 when those tyres hit the wall. I think we're going to see it coming into turn 1 as well, those big slide jobs that we saw Lachlan trying to pull there, trying to make a move past when we get a few more cars on the way. I think that's where the action's going to happen, definitely. Just here from race control there, the track state will be advancing slightly before the race starts, as we're already getting carnage in the practice. See a car up on the gate there in turn 3. Barney waves a checkered flag and the final laps will be completed. We running fixed setups tonight, or are the drivers able to tune their cars?
Fixed setup from my knowledge. Oh, yeah, I've never been actually. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it is a fixed setup, to be honest.
I know certainly Weedsport, as the track deteriorates, you can actually run a little bit less wing than what the fixed setup gives you. Oh, and you can really send it in, but you've got to be quite confident in where you put in your car, because you lose that downforce and all of a sudden you start sliding up into the wall. But it's one of those ones you can certainly run a little bit less wing than perhaps the fixed setup lets you. Run a little bit more stagger to get the car to turn in a bit sharper. And okay. You can sort of really commit to driving quite an aggressive style. The default style is kind of a bit, what's the word? It's kind of a bit tame, I suppose. If you like an aggressive car, you can certainly set them up to really pitch in and drive out around this Weedsport track.
I see. That's the secret. As we've got our grid up here for tonight's main feature, we've got Sean Stevens in first, Nick Ryan in second, Blaine Densley in third, with Jason Crawford in fourth. Fifth is Justin Wright, Lockie Phillips in sixth, Ash Halliday in seventh, Tyler Sheaf with a better week this week. In eighth there, Tony Walsh with a great little race up into third for our last heat there. Andrew Cowan up in 10th, top 10 for the grid for tonight. Good on him. Jason Burke in 11th and Nathan Allen in 12th. Let me just get down the rest of our list. Shall give it to me. And then we have Mr. Scotty Rankin from the Team SRW there in 13th, along with Trent Hobbs 14th, Braden Miller and Michael Locke. And we also have Ryan Denton and Mr. Brendan Walton into comms box tonight. So here we go. I'll let you take away the feature start, mate. Here we go.
Sean Stevens on the pole. As we come around, safety car in this lap. Nick Ryan finds himself on the outside. Blaine Densley in the hot seat there in third. Certainly plenty of moves to be made. We see that all drivers seem to be taking it right down to the flag today. No one getting a jump off the start early. So it looks like we've survived lap 1, turn 1. No carnage as of yet. We see single file really already. Couple of drivers venturing down to the low side, but certainly the high side working for the most part. A few more drivers taking that shallow line into 1, drifting it out into 2. To the 17 car again. Buckle Phillips running that unique kind of low line as the first caution comes out.
And exits high, right?
Yeah, it's effectively a slide job he's trying to do, but he hasn't quite got the car in.
Had a bit of a moment here, it seems. So we've gone to safety car here, so we'll just go back and see what's happened to Brent Hobbs.
Yeah, DSL Welding Services replay. Brett Hobbs there. Yeah, he's just had a bit of a push up into the corner. Has spun him around. He rejoins onto the back of the field.
That is a whoa! And he's always run into. He almost run into the into that Chevy pickup safety truck. Should we say? Really
yeah, I mean the good thing about the safety truck is it's actually a ghost, so you can run through it in the dirt.
Oh, that's good.
It's not like on the road sim where you kind of get a bit of contact. You can actually drive straight through the safety truck on dirt, which is quite a bonus.
Yeah, it's probably just the safety in general, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean the last thing you want to do in a very fragile sprint car is run up the back of a Chevy pickup. Yeah, but drivers there in the comms, just questioning the where the restart is. So off the exit of 4, I believe, was what race control has confirmed, or between 3 and 4 rather.
Any reason for the yellow? Any penalties or?
We just got race control on the radio now.
No, I'm just under review, mate.
Oh, okay.
So the incident there is under review. Car certainly did slide up a little bit, but we'll leave that for race control to determine there.
Yeah,
no further action.
It was there. It was a very, very minor touch, but it ended up with pretty horrible results for one car, to be honest, didn't it?
Yeah, it was just a bit unfortunate, really. They made contact, and it was just in the right spot that it was enough to turn Brett Hobbs around. So he finds himself down in 15th now as we restart. And Sean Stevens leads the pack away. Got a great start there. Win it or bin it, we see there on the front wing. I've got a pretty similar note on my sprint cars as well, actually. I find it quite cheeky to put a little bit of text there. And the yellow flag's back out again. So while we're on board with the leader, there's been some action in the back.
Didn't take long. Oh, that's into our second safety car here, guys. So thank you to DSL Welding Services for this action replay. I think we might have a look at this quarter time. See if we can slow this down a bit and see what's happened. On a different camera though. Or maybe that was a poor choice at the time. So he's had it. Oh, he's just come down and just go. Oh, that's done some serious damage. He's now up on side of his car.
Yeah, some serious damage to Michael Logue's car there. That's probably going to put him out of the race, to be fair. Unfortunate there, that car in front of him's just tapped the wall and moved down on him. Sort of had nowhere to go, really. Brett Hobbs given an end-of-line penalty. That was probably for the spin, I would think, earlier.
Yeah. Oh, so we're already down to 2 safety cars already, mate. Wow. Craziness, isn't it? We did have 10 last week. Oh, is that Scotty Rankin's car there with no top wing there? Or is that just a bit of a glitch there?
No, I'm seeing it as no wing on my screen as well, so...
Wow.
Not quite sure what happened there. Very unusual to have no top wing, though. That's a pretty serious roll to lose your wing, I would think.
Yeah. How is this speed now? Caught up into it. Hang on. Let's see if we...
So as they grid up too wide again, it'll be 2 to green. No, not quite. Race control there, delaying the start further. So Sean Stevens will yet again take the pole for this restart, the second restart of the race. Blaine Delaney finds himself, Blaine Densley, sorry, finds himself on the outside. Lachlan Phillips, the 17 car, in 4th position. So far running a very unusual line compared to the rest of the field. We'll see if that continues and if it'll pay dividends for him. Finds himself in... Oh no, he just crossed the timing line before the car in 3rd, never mind.
Nick Ryan's had a great race, so stayed out of the trouble. Good.
Yeah, Nick Ryan's done well, found himself starting up and gridded up in 2nd. He's dropped a couple of positions, but he's still up in the pack. So far, the big mover, I think, is Lachlan Phillips. Starting in 6th, finding his way to 3rd as we get the restart. And Sean Stevens takes the jump, but not as big as the last time. Blaine Delaney stays. Blaine Densley, I don't know why I'm calling him Delaney. I know a Blaine Delaney. I know a Blaine Delaney.
Yes.
Blaine,
No.
Blaine Densley there, staying right with him. Trying to work that inside line. Trying to get that move done. We see Lachlan Phillips again running that unorthodox line as we see another yellow flag come up. Barney Bear, the flagman, pulls out the yellow, pull up the replay, looks to be Ryan Denton. See him coming down into turn 1.
Oh, Cowie's got sideways.
And
It just clipped him.
again, just a victim of someone else's misfortune.
Oh, just missed Scotty Rankin too there.
Bit of a tap there, very lucky not to clean out Scotty Rankin on the way up to the wall. So that'll be some pretty serious damage, I would think, there on Denton's car.
Yeah, he's currently in the pits. We'll see if he's limping his way to the pits.
Yeah, it'll depend on how his wheel alignment is. If he's hit the wall pretty sideways, which it looks like he has, he might find that he's not too bad, but he'll be crawling around to the back of the line.
Is he just driving that thing slowly, or is it kind of grabbing a bit?
It looks to be running all right. It might be a little bit off on the right rear. We'll have to wait till it sort of gets back up to speed to see how it's really going to behave. But
I'm thinking that right front looks a bit with, but it might be just my eyes, to be honest.
oh, the wheels do tend to wobble a little bit at lower speed. But yeah, like I say, it's going to be really hard to tell until he starts getting moving again. Could have a bent steering arm. Could have his wheel alignment knocked out of place. Really hard to tell until you start getting into full speed. So we rack him up again. Sorry, Brett Hobbs.
Brett Hobbs has got a bit of a quite damaged top wing there as well, so it's going to make his battle at the back to get back up through that pack pretty hard.
Better start there from Sean Stevens this time. Running that high line, 27 car Densley, trying to work that mid line. He's stayed with him this time. He's got a good move into 4, gets right down low. He's given him a tap, he's pushed him up the track. And we've called a yellow flag.
Tyler Sheaf with a bit of a moment.
Was that Stevens that caused the yellow flag or Sheaf? No, Sheaf.
Sheaf, yeah. Let's have a look at this one. Clipped the inside wall.
Yeah.
Oh.
Just not timed that right at all. Turned in very early.
Well, he was lucky to not take anybody else with him as well there, so that was great driving from him. And the rest of the
I was just wondering why my screen was having a bit of a moment, but all the cars have stopped on track to allow the safety car to redress. One of the common issues we find on the shorter tracks here in iRacing, the safety truck doesn't pick up the front car, it just starts looping around, and then you end up with a whole bunch of pass the safety car, don't pass the safety car. So the easiest way to do it, so the easiest way to do it, and it's kind of a bit of an unwritten rule in the official leagues as well, the official servers as well. The leader will call a stop, and everyone will safely slow down and stop, and let the pace truck get to where it needs to be, and we'll move on.
Oh,
certainly
good to know for us iRacers out there as well that are very new to dirt ovals. I
yeah.
would not have known that.
You'll always get that one idiot that thinks they'll try and run around and make some positions. At the end of the day, they just get a black flag for passing the
I'd be
safety
the
car.
idiot
But
that wouldn't even realise. They'd just drive around
yeah,
and go, oh, that's right. Oh, you idiot.
yeah. So tracks like Weedsport and Limaland and Rockberry, things like that, the safety car sort of just is a bit useless when it comes to picking up the leader. So. The longer tracks like Eldora we saw last week, and we've got Fluzia and the Calendar and I-55, they don't tend to do it as much, but certainly these shorter tracks, the pace truck driver can be a bit a bit weird sometimes.
Yeah, because which is that track with that on that calendar? It's just
that was a really dodgy restart
great.
there. So they lined up single file this time, and they all ran the high line on the fence, but Sean Stevens has had a push going into turn 1, and he's caught up quite a few cars in the process. I think race control will resort them back to the last completed lap, so Sean Stevens should get that back.
Yeah, so I think Lockie Phillips had something's happened to him first. It might have been a catalyst to the rest of this.
Yeah, I think someone may have jumped the start there a little bit. No, they got off the start clean.
Oh, so no.
So I think Lockie's just gone in a little bit too hot. Hasn't reacted to Stevens coming down on him. Made contact, spun out, and he's picked up the 98 car in the process. And then everyone else has had to check up. Some have got
that unique line might have put Stevens off a little bit there, not knowing that he was going to be try to do that, or maybe because Phillips has been running that line, he's used to drifting in that car a bit higher, a bit quicker.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I think I'm not in the race control, but I think Lachlan Phillips very much at fault there. You see, he's got the end of line penalty there. You've got to, even if you're running a different line, you've got to be aware of where your opposition are, and he was certainly in the wrong there, driving straight into his straight into Stevens' car.
It's literally taking out our two front runners. It's taking out Braden Miller and Sean Stevens. Top two of the top guys, fastest guys in the league actually, and part of the championship winners and part of the podium for last year.
Yeah, so Nick Ryan's certainly been a big winner out of all that. Finds himself back up into his original starting position of second there. Just trying to see if we've got any big movers in the pack at the moment. Ryan Denton.
Scotty Rankin up 7 spots. Ryan Denton,
8.
yeah. Wow.
Brett Hobbs starting, is that right? Started 14th, that's not right.
Yeah, Ryan Denton's up 9 spots. Braden Miller back up 5 spots, but he didn't have the best qualifying and not the best race so far. So, but Ryan Denton
single file restart again. The 98 car got it all wrong there, and Jason Crawford slipped right on past him. And another yellow off the restart. 16 just absolutely sacks the 78 car as the yellow flag goes on. It's put him into the pit wall. Whoa. No doubt there'll be some damage there for that one.
Here we go.
That was certainly a that should definitely be a some sort of thing there. Which replay we got up here? Andrew Cowan on screen.
Oh,
so it looks like how he's checked up there to avoid the car. In doing so, he's over-rotated on the brakes and he's picked up that guy coming through. But then afterwards...
Was that Justin Wright, was it?
Yeah, possibly after the safety car was called. Yeah, it looks like the 78 car, yeah. So coming out of here, he's gone to hit the brakes for the safety car. And he's just been absolutely collected.
Wow. Who knows?
So Justin reacting to the caution. His drivers around him not quite as quick. He finds himself in the wall.
Surely does. Wow, this is pretty crazy. So keeping it positives, guys, in the chat, please. Big shout out to everybody viewing out there as well, guys. So sorry about all the cautions, etc. But we shall be back racing very, very soon.
Yeah, cautions are never the most exciting thing to watch. We do appreciate that, but as we did say at the top of the broadcast, this is certainly one of the tighter tracks, drivers having to fight for space.
Yep, as we were saying, it's very hard to manage these lines. You can see how muddy it is, but just by the colour of those tyres, right? So, and because there has been quite a few cautions now, we haven't really got this track bedded in properly yet, really, have we? So it's going to be very difficult to drive still.
Yeah, track certainly hasn't worn in properly, and I think that's probably also causing for some of the drivers trouble as well, not being able to run a consistent line.
These guys at the back again. Ryan Denton's had a bit of a moment. I'm not sure if we've got another yellow flag for that one, but had a bit of a moment there.
Nice. I think we've called a race control have called a race control have called a safety car there.
Okay, STK's lying to me at the moment. It's just saying we've got a checkered flag already, but that seems weird. Okay, maybe it's just lying to me there, but we've got a bunch of people coming back into the pits now. Not sure what's racing.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure what's going on there.
Good work, Wayne.
I think that could be the race finished.
Was that to the podium as well? To the
Yep, that is race done. Wowee. So much action that we're yeah.
It didn't really feel like 30 laps.
It did not at all, did it? At all. Apologies for yeah. That was crazy.
Yeah.
Our overlay is saying that we've got a lot further to go, so apologies for that, guys. That threw us off a little bit. We will jump into our interview soon, as soon as we can get these results up. Oh, that's not quite it, is it?
Yeah, so a bit of an interesting race finish there. A few little incidents here and there at the end, and we had a few drivers unfortunately not make it to the end. Blaine Densley takes the win there in what was a caution heavy race, no doubt. 6 laps under race pace, doesn't need 30 gallons, right? Nick Ryan coming home second place. Jason Crawford coming home, rounding out the podium in third. Good drive from Tony Walsh there, starting in 9th, finding his way up into 4th, avoiding the carnage.
Didn't he? That was awesome.
Absolutely incredible. Scotty Rankin had a little bit of trouble early in the feature, finds his way from 13th up to 5th. Great result there for Rattlegun.
Let's go, sir.
Justin Wright starting in
turn
5th. Justin Wright starting in 5th, finishing in 6th. Another big mover, Brendan Miller, starting 16th, finishing 7th. Lachlan Phillips finishing 8th. Brett Hobbs finds himself in 9th. After that little bit of an incident there towards the end, Tyler Sheaf rounds out the top 10. Andrew Cowan, the last of the cars on the lead lap again, getting caught up in that final incident. In 11th, couple of cars, 1 lap behind, Ryan Denton, Nathan Allen, Sean Stevens, 8 laps down, disconnected due to excessive damage, as did Jason and Michael earlier on in the race. So we're just waiting for the drivers to get into the green room for the post-race interviews. As soon as they're in there, we'll get them underway.
Sounds good. Would you like to take the interviews tonight, mate? For your first interview process tonight?
I could give it a go. Why not?
Why not? Sounds good. So I'll bring in our third place getter first. We'll bring down Jason first, and then we'll bring down second and first. We'll leave them all in the room, and everyone can have a yarn after that. Sound good?
Wait, sounds good to me.
Awesome. 2 seconds. Let's go. Grab him. Bring him down. Come on, Jace. Here we go. Mr. Jason, how are you? Fine, sir. I'll hand you to our illustrious Brendan Walton for interviews tonight.
No worries.
Hey, Jace, how are we? Good result there in third for you. Certainly a caution-filled race. What was the key to your success tonight?
Key was just to stay clean, mate. keep all four wheels on the track and follow everyone around, as they say.
Yeah, it certainly looked like.
There's not really much of a, well, it wasn't really much of a racing line. Track was fresh, so it was a follow the leader sort of thing.
Yeah, it certainly didn't look like there were too many opportunities there to pass, most of them coming from the incidents, and like you say, a bit of a follow the leader there. Was there much room to sort of move around? Did you try and do some different lines, or pretty much just the one track?
No, I didn't really move around much. There wasn't a lot of racing happening to move around, There's, as you said, a lot of cautions. It was good. It was all right.
Yeah, certainly a shame when we end up doing so many laps under the safety car. Do you have any sponsors or anybody you'd like to shout out to while you're here?
Yeah, sure. Hobbs Trenchant and Boren for coming on board. Southern Cross Transport Equipment Group. iRacing, Dirt, Outlaws TV, Crawford Designs. All the boys back at JSI. You guys for putting up the stream, and SRW for putting on the lead.
Yeah, cool. Thanks, mate, and congratulations on your podium tonight.
Cheers, mate. And to congratulations to Nick and Blaine, first and second.
Yeah, sweet as, mate. We'll get Nick in here next, and we'll have a chat with him as well.
Cheers, mate. Thank you.
Hey, Nick, how are we? Congratulations, second place tonight, mate. Any how was that race for you?
Oh, it wasn't too bad. Like, obviously, a few yellows helped out and kept up the front, but yeah, wasn't too bad.
Yeah, certainly, as we were talking to Jason as well, certainly a caution-filled race. It was a bit of a carnage avoidance out there for you.
Yeah, almost got caught up in one crash, but we got through, and yeah, wasn't too bad.
How did you find the track tonight? It looked to be pretty single-lined.
Yeah, it was fairly one lane, very fast early. It was a little bit better once it blew off, but yeah, it sort of went very bottom dominant towards the end.
Yeah, definitely. Certainly we saw a few guys trying some different things, but at the end of the day, it was a bit of a single-file race, and there was just sort of crash avoidance, I think. Do you have any sponsors you needed to shout out to today?
Just Mills Motorsport, Dutton One, Dutton Garage, and Cartworks.
Yeah, awesome, mate. What else? Anything else? Don't think so. Nah. All right, we'll bring in Blaine Densley, the race winner, and we'll get them all in here. Hey, Blaine, how are we?
Good, mate. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad. Bit of a fortuitous one there. Certainly a few cautions. How was the race for you, mate?
Yeah, really disappointing, to be honest, that we only got 6 racing laps with the caution laps counting. Not sure what the reasoning was for that, but yeah, obviously disappointing to really not get to do a race at all if you look at it in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah, certainly from our point of view, we got a bit lost on commentary, sort of following, how many racing laps there were, and then all of a sudden you finished, and we were sort of left a bit disappointed. That was for sure. A lot of just sort of tap and slide type of things from the back of the field, and certainly a couple of incidents at the front as well. Did you find you were sort of having to avoid much, or were you sort of clear of that traffic for the most part?
Pretty much clear of it for the most part, but the setup they gave us to use had ridiculous amounts of fuel in it, which makes the cars really loose and really hard to handle. We started the race with 30 and we finished with 28 gallons, so that didn't help. People's, trying to pass someone and the car just breaks free on you, and there's obviously a lot of contact back in the field. Even at the front with the more experienced guys, we were still struggling. So,
sorry.
Yeah, I was just going to say it's disappointing, and it would be good if we could all come together and make this better for everyone. I think this league's got massive potential to do really cool things, but if it just stays like this, I think less and less people are going to be showing up, unfortunately.
Yeah, I did touch on setup during commentary as well, and I sort of mentioned that perhaps it wasn't quite right for the track at the time, and hearing what you're saying now about fuel, it sort of does make sense a little bit. We sort of noticed one of the common traits I find personally at Weedsport is sort of holding that line, especially on the high line, that the walls can sort of suck you in a little bit. And
yeah, for sure.
When the track's not rubbering in, it makes it really hard, especially when you're you're not finding that groove. So one of the tighter tracks, we've got some bigger tracks coming up, so hopefully we'll see some cleaner racing when you guys have got a bit more room to space out.
Yeah, unless yellows that caution laps don't count, so we can actually have some racing laps.
Yeah, certainly. Well, in an ideal world, we all want to be green all the time. Certainly makes for some more exciting battles, and
Yeah.
the safety car gets pretty boring to watch after a while. That's for sure.
I mean, yeah, the issue wasn't the yellow flags. You're always going to have yellow flags, but for the yellow laps to actually be counting, it meant that we only got 6 racing laps instead of 30. So people that were fast couldn't move through the field, and people that probably weren't so fast didn't get the chance to fall back. I mean, people are going to love it, people are going to hate it, but at the end of the day, it wasn't a very good show to watch, and it wasn't much fun to race. So hopefully, if there's a next round, if we all show up, it can be done a little bit better.
Yeah, I definitely think that's really good constructive feedback to be passed on to the admins, and we'll see how that progresses throughout the week and moving into next week's round.
Yeah, let's hope.
Yeah, well, that pretty much concludes the broadcast for this evening. Once again, a massive shout out to our primary sponsor, DSL Welding Services, for helping us out. helping SRW out, bringing us all of our coverage live and all our racing. To our round sponsor today, Warren and Brown Tools. I've been Brendan, joined by Toddy, and it's been an absolute pleasure to have you here at Weedsport Motorsport Park for what was a predominantly safety car led race, but nonetheless we have completed 30 laps. Congratulations to our podium and to Blaine Densley, our race winner for this evening. Any final thoughts from you, Toddy?
No, just like to thank everybody out there in Viewerland for coming along, and make sure if you haven't liked and subscribed yet, or hit that notification bell, please do. We will be back live again tomorrow night. Should be heaps of fun once again. Lots of action again there as we go find our way around Australia, which would be absolutely cool. Also, a big shout out to Racecraft Simulations, Toyo Sim, Melville Equipment. And who else am I missing? SRW, all the crew at the back behind the scenes of SRW, all a bunch of legends in the team, and we couldn't do it without you guys racing on track as well. So we hope to see you all back next week, guys. So much love and keep safe.
Yep, see you later.